Well, welcome once again to the University of Badassery podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is CJ Ortiz, and I am the mental motivator. And seated literally now to the right hand of my dark throne is the fire-breathing professor of ass kickery, the dean who destroys all things douchebaggery. At combat strength training, he is the chief butcher of body brutality. Still leading camp counselor at the Coronation camp for those who are trying to change their lives. He is squadron leader at the Keep the Blaze Alive coaching squad. And in this very sensitive, woke, cancel culture, he is the epitome of toxic masculinity.
All right.
He is, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Patrick Heavy Metal McNamara.
Woo! Yeah, baby. Dude, those intros.
I'm surprised I remember that.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. That gets a little bit better each time, I think.
So much history has happened since then. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here at the University of Badassery podcast, we don't know what episode this is. We don't care. It's been probably 5 months since we did our last one.
It's been a minute.
But we're still sponsored by Mac.
Number one, Taconic Distillery. Man, this bourbon is, I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's my favorite bourbon.
Yeah. It's becoming
really
everybody's
good.
favorite bourbon now.
Yeah, it's really, really good. If you're a bourbon guy, you have to, it's easy to order, get online, links and bios and all that stuff. I've put up tons of posts on it. It's really great. My good friend, Wes Whitlock, our good friend, Wes Whitlock of Rogue American Apparel also owns Invader Coffee. Invader. This particular bag that I have is my own blend. It's the T-Max Blaze Ops blend.
It's the best.
Yeah, man. What's it called? Air roasted right in Austin. Yeah. So it's not some Costco freaking half. It's not something that's a knockoff.
Right.
It's legit. And then also we've got Kill Cliff. So great company. Another military or veteran-owned company. And this particular can I'm holding up is a Flaming Joe, CBD Flaming Joe. So it's one of Joe Rogan's blends or brands. They make really good, healthy, sugar-free energy drinks, recovery drinks, etc. And I'm a big fan of Kill Cliff, and that one right there is spectacular.
Yeah, for those who are watching via YouTube, you're going to notice this is a different setup. Mm-hmm. And not just we're not in the usual place at Mac's house. Now we're in Mac's new office space.
Graduated.
He graduated to the upstairs, and which we're liking it right now. The temp is perfect.
Yep.
It's quiet. We don't get the echo.
Got a fan directly above our head.
Now we lose the Rebecca effect when she's walking in the background.
Correct. Yep. Which is a bummer.
Which
we could always bring her up.
But we don't have obviously the dogs here or whatever. But you can see Mac's gear back there.
Some of it. Yep.
Drums, guitar, and we didn't show this in the last episode. It was in the deleted scenes, but that's the Eddie Van Halen poster, man.
That's so cool.
Isn't that badass? But a lot of cool stuff on the wall here. Maybe sometime we'll give you a little
tour.
Man.
Yeah. It's growing too. I've got stuff in boxes, and so I need to pull it out and put up more things.
Well, people have wanted us to do interviews, and I still get requests for interviews and stuff. But we're trying to somewhat move away from the interview format because that's what everybody does. Mm-hmm. And let's face it,
copy and paste, bro.
Let's face it. Who else do they need to hear from than us?
Well, I really liked our recent format about badassery, about talking about those who are badass in history. Yeah. So I really appreciate that. I think it's awesome.
And it makes sense being the University of Badassery. And that way we're not talking about ourselves because that would be very
vain.
Very vain.
I'm not vain, but I'm not vain.
So we're going to continue that format. But again, here's the thing, and I hope people, both YouTube with the vlog and subject matter with the podcast, we do a podcast on a particular subject or a vlog on a particular topic, and people think we're going to do more of the same.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys do when you do your next fishing vlog, or when you do,
yeah.
Or it's like if you guys did Lewis and Clark, so let's do this other expert. We don't want to do that. We want to keep changing things up, changing topics up, so that people can't necessarily foresee what's coming. And today, dude,
Yeah, it's like muscle confusion. This is like brain confusion. You never know. You never know where we're going to go.
You're going to grow. That's right. Well, like muscle confusion is good for you when
right.
training, so you don't get into this just routine and your body gets used to it. We don't want your brains to get used to the University of Badassery.
Because routine is the playground of a dull mind.
Write that down. If you have a pen, write that down. One of the old sales things that I learned years and years ago is when you are gonna get somebody, you want somebody to take down some information or do whatever. You don't tell them what you want them to write down. It would be like, "Do you have a pen?"
Right.
And so to get one, write this down.
Right.
That way you know they write that down. But anyway, so Pat Mac, we're going to continue to study badasses of history, and so we're jumping from. We were in Lewis and Clark.
Yep.
We jumped to early 20th century with the Endurance, and now we're getting into our childhood.
This is a significant portion of our childhood.
Yeah.
We're talking 60s and 70s, but for us, we remember the 70s portion of this.
Right. Because he came at the tail end, but who is it?
Bobby
Craig, Robert Craig,
Bobby Knievel.
Knievel.
Oh wait, Evel Knievel.
Evel
spelled with an E, by the way, Evel, because he didn't want it to sound too evil.
Even though there was a guy, and I'm jumping way ahead in the discussion there, but there was a guy who used to work for him, bodyguard, who he found out just how brutal he was. He said, "I got to get away from this guy." So the bodyguard became a Christian, and he opened up the Bible one day in the book of Proverbs, and it said, "Depart from evil." He literally did depart from evil. That's right.
So funny.
So badassery topic today is none other than the great one, Evel Knievel. Now I'm going to say great one in quotes because in all of our research about Evel Knievel, we've learned a whole lot more about Evel Knievel than we necessarily knew as kids. And it's multifaceted, this guy, and it's not all good.
No, it's not.
Yes, he is not all good, but it doesn't take away from what he did.
It doesn't take away from the badassery.
So let me start by asking you this, and this is just a general question, because you have times where it's like I had a discussion recently with my mom we're talking about politicians, and we were talking about whether their moral infraction or something that they say offhanded on camera or whatever has any bearing on policy. So the obvious example would be like a Bill Clinton with Monica Lewinsky. Right. He could have done what he did in Monica Lewinsky's. In the White House with her, but still, let's just say he made every decision right and was the greatest president. Again, this is hypothetical, ladies and gentlemen. Right. But he ended up the greatest president ever. How do you judge something like that?
Right.
How do you look at, how do you separate those two?
Dude, I have no idea. I have to think about it.
But no, because like when I hear people criticize Donald Trump, for example, they don't talk about a policy per se.
Right.
They talk about tweets, or they talk about
they talk about his rhetoric.
Yeah, rhetoric or
yes,
whatever.
We know his rhetoric sucks, but his actions were freaking awesome.
Or is he a racist? Or is he this? Or is he?
Dude, he hurt a lot of feelings.
So
tweets.
At some point, you do have to separate that. Now, if that crosses over like into religious circles, for example, if the pastor of my church has a Monica Lewinsky thing going on, he's going to get canned.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because the whole thing is built on a moral platform or a foundation. So
the difference is, can you shoulder it?
Yeah.
If you shoulder that and not try to, because this dude shouldered every bit of it.
Yeah, like literally.
I mean? Yes. Right.
Broke him.
Right.
He shouldered so many just crap, he literally broke him.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, it's one thing you're talking about presidents or priests or whatever. It's another thing when we're talking about a daredevil.
Yes. Dude, were there other, I'm not sure if he coined the term, but nobody really could define what a daredevil was until Evel Knievel.
It became common parlance
with
him.
Yes. Yep. You know how he got his name?
Yeah.
It was one of the dark times. He was in jail.
Yeah.
And the prison guard said, we have, because there was a guy in there called Knievel.
Yeah.
He said, we have awful Knievel and Evel Knievel. And he went, yeah, you know what? Let me jot that one down for later because I think I might have to use that one.
Yeah, well, that's interesting that he had the foresight. I'll tell you what, he had a lot of foresight because it's not just, he didn't just create being a daredevil. He created like
showmanship,
promotion.
Right, promotion, self-promotion.
Self-promotion.
In a time where there was no interwebs and stuff. It was rotary dial. Rotary dial and calling the right people.
Yeah.
And then going out into the streets and making hullabaloo and gossip and rumors.
He understood the viral effect concept.
Yeah.
He couldn't get every newspaper there, but he got just enough to know if it was a crazy enough story, then other people would pick it up.
Yep. It would become viral in a time where there was no like viral videos and it couldn't go, 1 million in a day.
Right.
But he was working toward that,
Yeah.
Word of mouth and rotary dial-up telephones.
Now we're assuming here that
and newspaper.
We're assuming here that everybody knows who Evel Knievel is,
no,
right?
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because I was asking my 18-year-old kid before we did this. I said, "Hey, do you know who Evel Knievel is?" And he goes, "Motorcycle guy." I said, "Close enough."
That's close enough. That's pretty good.
Close enough.
That's
Because there's a
pretty
lot
good.
of gens, there's a lot in this gen that have no idea. But they know all of the people who have followed.
Right.
They know all of the extreme sports guys.
Right.
But without Evel Knievel, there would be no extreme sports.
That's important
extreme
to know, man.
skateboarding.
That's where it came
extreme motocross. Extreme BMX.
Nope.
There would be none of that. There would be no, you know what there wouldn't be? Because I watched a clip of Johnny Knoxville.
Yes.
There would be no Jackass show.
There would be no Jackass show. Yeah. There would be no Jackass show.
Because Johnny Knoxville is a massive Evel Knievel
Has
fan.
to be.
He
has to be.
He's even paid tribute to him in a couple of his stunts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But, of course, Johnny Knoxville was, I'm going to do a stunt and get hurt because I get paid. And of course, Evel that was not his intention.
No.
Of course, because his stunts, bro.
Well, if you go, I mean, because again, now I'm thinking of the firstness of things with him. They both put each other on the map. ABC News, Wide World of Sports.
Wide World of Sports, yeah. I mean, it was such an anomaly, for Wide World of Sports. The thrill of victory and that agony of defeat. Yeah. For those of you who don't know what Wide World of Sports is, that was a highlight of, I think that was on Saturdays.
Saturdays, yeah.
Or like in the mid-afternoon, like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Right. And I could not wait to watch the Wide World of Sports. It was one of 3-4 programs,
right,
not television shows, that you would watch during the week because there wasn't options. But we all wanted to watch Wide World of Sports, because it was just that. It was sports from all over the world and a wide variety. You weren't watching a football game or a baseball game or a basketball game. You were watching, some almost extreme stuff.
Their version of extreme sports. So there would be surfing. There would be skiing where they do the big. That was the famous thing. The agony of defeat. Where the guy goes off the thing and
tumbles
off
the press building,
Yeah, so they were doing these. They would look for these unique sports, and we can't tell all the stories about how Evel did this, but Evel managed to get Wide World of Sports coverage for what would be the jump that would really put him on the map. But before we get to that, which the jump, but Evel as a young guy, Robbie Knievel from Butte, Montana. Which that's a fascinating story. And Butte was a freaking town, dude. That was a Wild West bar on every corner because it was a mining town. So these guys obviously are all they do is go in the mine and make money, and so they got to blow all their money. So there was 100 bars.
Yep.
And so he grew up in this very brutal, neighborhood, and they say that because he had his brother. That because his mom and dad bailed on him.
Yep, he was raised by his grandparents.
And so at his grandmother's house, him and his brother were roughhousing when they were.
Yeah, I know the story you're going to tell. I know it.
And again, it runs right in his head first into the.
Well, that's before his brother punches him in the face.
Oh, that's right.
And he falls down, and he looks at his brother with like disdain or and let me show you something. He runs headfirst into a closet door, boosh, and does it again, boosh.
And knocks himself out both times.
Out, yeah. And stands up and says, see, nobody can hurt me.
Yeah.
Was he like 7 or something?
Yeah, and all his friends said, he was never the same.
Right.
After that. So it's like, did he do some kind of, because, I mean, he could have obviously given himself a concussion, but something about him in his DNA, and he went on to do the craziest crap, like started a hockey team.
Yeah, right. Started a hockey team. And then somehow got the Czech Republic team to come over and play them.
Yeah.
How did you do that? Self-promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his team sucked.
They were terrible.
The Czech Republic team, it was like, it was like a basketball score.
Right.
It was like 70-0. Something like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. And of course, nobody ever got paid. He promised all these people he would pay them, but he never paid them. But how in the world do you start a hockey team, pull a hockey team out of your ass, and then get the Czech Republic to come over, because they were playing a bunch of things while they were here, but to come over and play you with promised money, never get the money,
right,
and beat the hell out of you. And they went on for a while after that. I forget the name of his hockey team. And they never really amounted much of anything. And he burned a whole bunch of people. But, I mean, again, that's what I meant at the outset about the morality versus performance kind of thing. Because it's like, even though he would do some lying, some exaggerating, and not pay some people some money, think about what he did.
Yeah.
Because it takes that kind of balls.
Dude, he was wired differently. He was definitely wired. I don't think it was him cracking his head into the door. I think he was just born wired differently,
Well, look at his son came out the same way.
Yeah.
The second one, Robbie.
Not as
bombastic.
He didn't have a voracious appetite for thrill seeking and it was a different time, different era, and he wasn't the showman. He wasn't like because there were showmans during that time, like Muhammad Ali, for instance.
Right.
It was all
he was
showman.
they called him the white Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, right. Yeah, very similar. But Evel's rant was, it was like pointing a finger in your face and daring you to dare him.
Yeah.
Where Muhammad Ali he was pretty funny.
Right. He was funny.
He was just a good shit talker.
It was more trash talking.
Yeah, good shit talker, really.
No, yeah. With Evil's rhetoric, you make an interesting point. Evil's rhetoric had so much intention in it. It was not short-lived, whereas Ali would say what he needed to say in preface to a fight.
Yep.
Whereas with Evil, he was building a campaign. It was all a part of this masterful, instinctive methodology to public relations.
Yeah, and he had no idea where it was going.
He didn't.
None. But, just as we've talked about before, don't accept mediocrity. We've said this on so many podcasts, how it's important to level up.
Right.
What's the next thing I'm going to do? What's the next thing? Instead of just staying flatline and stuck in a rut, what is the next thing that I'm going to do? Let me think about this.
Right.
And act on it.
Because he constantly was at that place.
Yeah. It's like, well, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
Like even childhood, we're talking about the hockey team. And then he had crazy freaking jobs. Like he was an insurance salesman.
He was an insurance salesman for the company owned by Clement Stone.
Yeah.
And Clement Stone is the co-author with Napoleon Hill of Think and Grow Rich. So he was known because he'd have these massive motivational rallies for his salesmen.
Right.
So Evil went so deep into this stuff and was selling so well, but he bought into the motivational philosophy of Clement Stone. In fact, I'm going to play a little clip here.
All right, good.
Where you'll see a little bit of that. So those who are watching by YouTube, you can see this. Those by audio, you can hear this. Check it out. Evel Knievel.
Teddy Roosevelt said one time that it's better to try and win glorious triumphs and victories, even though you're checkered by failure and fate, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy victory or defeat because they've lived in such a great twilight that they've never tried either one. So rather than be a painter of the Brooklyn Bridge or work in the Lincoln Tunnel in New York City and suck all that carbon dioxide in every day and live in those ghettos, I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing. When you do what I do for a living, you have to have a positive mental attitude. And if that positive mental attitude doesn't work when you make that jump, you have to be man enough to handle the circumstances. In my case, I'm man enough.
You have to have a certain mental attitude about you that's out of step with society. You got to go out there with an attitude to really grab somebody and beat them into the ground, to be a champion, to be a winner. And I had to have a killer instinct in me to beat what was probably the toughest competitor in life to me, and that was Father Time, death.
And I figure there are three mysteries to life.
Who we are, where we came from,
Why you do what you do and
where you're going to go.
Nobody knows the answer to those questions.
Well, I don't know why I did what I did. I did what I did. I do what I do because I'm Evel Knievel, and I don't question it.
So freaking badass. You know, I'm watching that, and I had almost like throwback goosebumps from when I was a kid, seeing him come out of those tunnels in that white leather one piece with the red, white, and blue checkered
cane and the capes.
Yeah, the capes. I mean, he invented that.
Dude, he invented all of it.
He didn't have a promoter that said, you know what, guys, would be a cool idea there, Mr. Knievel? If you didn't wear black like most bikers, but you wore white, you know, white. And then, you know, America it up.
Yeah.
You know, cross stars and stripes. And then how about a cape? Just to, you know, culminate the whole ensemble.
Right. Yeah, and with a cane which had alcohol in it.
Right.
You could open it up and drink from it. Well, here's the other thing: is he was instinctive. He's so brilliant as a marketer, because he understood with all of that, it wasn't just to be flashy, because that was not necessarily flashy. It was like you'd stepped into heaven,
right.
and the light is the white was too blind. He did not want to be dark. He wanted to be white. He wanted to be American, because look at the time.
Yep.
Assassinations.
Yes.
Vietnam. Revolution.
Yep.
All of this crap. America was worn out.
Yep.
Psychologically.
And for those who didn't grow up in the 60s and 70s and don't understand, keep this in mind. He wasn't a daredevil. To us, he was a superhero.
Yeah, he was a superhero.
He was a superhero. And we all got on our bicycles and tried to replicate Evel.
That.
There was not a kid alive who did not go over a jump.
No.
And subsequently bust his ass too.
Dude.
But, you know, then you figured out then you made ramp to ramp.
Yeah.
Because and we weren't wearing knee pads and helmets, bro, you know, even though he said always wear a helmet. But he was talking about motorcycles. You know, they didn't make
and stay off narcotics.
Right, stay off narcotics.
But dude, they literally did a medical study. There was a medical report written on the net effect of children's injuries because they were trying to imitate Evel Knievel.
Right.
And his name is in the title of the official medical report. They studied it. It was a phenomenon all over the country. And parents were worried about their kids watching him because they knew they'd go out and they were like ridiculous injuries, burned, fell off of this, bumped into that, crashed into this, broken bones, kids, because we saw that crap. Dude, who didn't jump something?
Right.
Dude, would we have jumped anything with a ramp?
No.
On our bikes as kids, if it wasn't for Evel Knievel?
No. But it wasn't just. It may have been jumping from wall to wall, just up with your feet,
right?
You know, or running and jumping over a series of trash cans,
right?
You know, that
or your friends, your friends would be laid out side to
How
side.
many trash cans can you jump? You know, or creating your own improvised pole vault, whatever it was. It was all inspired because of Evel Knievel.
Because of Evel Knievel.
I mean, he really brightened up that entire era. And you just heard him speak. You know, the way he spoke, very eloquent and very with leadership.
Right.
You know,
right.
Short, clear, concise, to the point, and like you said, I say what I mean what I say, all the whatever.
Yeah, well, he knew, because he knew who he was.
Yeah, right.
And so in philosophy, we call it epistemological self-consciousness.
Ooh,
epistemological self-conscious. Epistemology means knowledge.
Yep.
Knowledge, right? The theory of knowledge. So when you are when your knowledge is completely self-conscious, when you fully know who you are, what you believe, what you are about, and what you're going to do.
Damn.
You are epistemological. He said, I don't question it. I'm Evel Knievel.
Yep.
And that's
why
enough.
I do that. Yeah, that's why I do it. I'm Evel Knievel. I mean, come on.
That's what Evel Knievel does. And so, you know, you think, well, how much How popular can something like that become? Oh my God.
Yeah, right. Don't mind me, folks. Those of you watching, I got cheat sheet here. I got my little cliff notes. There's so much. I had to write some of these. I didn't want to forget any. Wanted bullet points
to the millions.
But so we talked about Wide World of Sports. No. Let me back up a step. So in a town like Butte, he was a badass.
Yeah.
In a town of badasses, he was a badass, and he was on a motorcycle from a very, very young age. It wasn't like something he didn't pick this up in his teenage years. Right. And his thing was riding wheelies, and nobody rode wheelies on a motorcycle.
No.
And then he got good enough to where he would say, you know what, to get better, let me taunt the police and have them chase me.
Right.
And they knew who he was, and he would just, taunt them and provoke them, and a car chase would ensue, and he would just crush their spirits. But I think his first jump when he started working for a Honda dealership.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they weren't. He said, "I could promote this shit, man. I could get people to buy Hondas." Right. How could he? And it was I think it was the first ramp to ramp jump. I think where it was just a pickup truck where it was like a tabletop.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. And then he graduated to the where he put a big box of rattlesnakes.
Oh yeah, rattlesnakes and mountain lions. Yeah. It's like, come and check this shit out, man. I'm going to jump over rattlesnakes and mountain lions. And
they got out.
Part of his bike hit the last box of rattlesnakes or something. It busted all open, and these rattlesnakes are all over this parking lot. Like, I got rattlesnakes everywhere. I think the mountain lions were like sedated, so they weren't a big deal. But
dude, he jumped rattlesnakes and they got out.
Yep.
And there's no like grandstand. Everybody was like right there, so everybody had to cruise hard to get away from that. But this is all in Butte, Montana.
Yep.
And again, he's hitting chicks. He's beating the hell out of people. He's robbing.
Yep.
Like banks and stuff. So it was. There was that little bit of criminal element. It's like he was too big for Butte.
Right. Yeah,
Montana,
way too big.
Dude. He was ready for the world. And there was way too much energy in that guy to get, to be contained. It was funny though, dude, is like he's in a town where the big gig is being a miner or a bar owner.
Right.
That's it.
That's the big gig.
You're capped.
There's
a
you ain't going
ceiling
any further.
there.
Nothing else to do in Butte, bro.
That goes to tell you, dude. It's not what you see with your physical eyes that matters. It's what you see with the eyes of your heart. It's what you see. It's what your vision is. I used to tell my ex-wife all the time, I said, listen, I can suffer a lot of broken things in life, financial, physical, you name it. But I can't suffer any loss of the vision of my heart. If I lose that, you know what I mean? The thing that drives me, the sense of ambition, the sense of whatever, I'm lost.
Yep.
In fact, there's a Bible verse that says it. It says, a wounded spirit who can bear? Because your spirit bears you up when everything else is wounded, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I said it before, and I say it again. CJ, you make religion cool.
And pull all the cool verses out of the metal Bible. Yep. But so he's too big for Butte. Now, a lot of history happened there. He actually got hooked up ultimately with the woman Linda, who he would eventually marry. He eloped with her.
He kind of kidnapped her.
He totally kidnapped her, dude.
He pulled up in a car and said, "Get in."
Yeah,
one of those, and she went.
It was like winter.
All right,
wasn't it like New Year's or Christmas or something like that?
Yep.
It was like, and this is Montana winter.
Yep.
But her dad was like this badass guy who threatened him. Don't you, he was? He like came down hard. Don't you ever come near my daughter again. What did he do? Kidnapped her, went and get married.
Yep, got married to her. Dude, that poor woman stayed with him for like 38 years.
Yeah, and he would womanize in front of her.
Oh, yes.
He would brag about it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But he always would say, "That's my girl.
Right.
I love her.
That's my number one.
That's my number one." What does that even mean, Evel? What? Shoot. Well, then who are these other people?
Yep.
Like, he just saw it as he saw that as indulgence. He saw that as what we heard in that clip, enjoying life.
Yep, enjoying life.
To him, getting all these women, womanizing was and spending money, and he spent a crap ton of money.
That's fringe benefits.
Dude, yeah, he saw that was the opposite of sucking carbon dioxide in the tunnel.
Yep. Well, once again, he didn't have that. He's growing up. When you grow up broke and you're, trying to scrape by, and then all of a sudden you have it. Well, you know what? I think he did it the right way because he wanted more.
Right.
But he spent it. He says, why have all this money if I can't spend it?
I'm
going to spend it on everything. I'm going to buy gold-plated motorcycles and Cadillacs and, yachts, jets, helicopters, all of it.
He had like 15 boats.
Yeah.
There's one yacht he bought that they had this thing lined up at this illustrious Sheraton hotel.
Yep.
But somebody had booked their room, and Evel didn't get mad because usually did.
Right.
And so he said they took the girls they were with, went down to this dock where all these yachts were at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and bangs on this dude's door, gets him out of bed. He's pissed, and he gets the door. He goes, "What do you want?" And I want to buy your boat.
Yeah.
And they sat there and haggled over it. The guy agreed on a price, and then Evel goes, "Now get the fuck out of my boat."
Yep,
and
right.
the guy gets his family and gets off
out.
the boat, and they continue the party on the boat.
Damn, man.
Dude, how rock and roll is that?
Well, now he isn't rich yet. Couple things led up to that.
That's an anecdote. Yeah,
It's
he's not
an
rich
anecdote,
yet.
right?
Yeah.
But so the first big jump.
The first big jump.
Well, World War Sports has put his name on the map. People know now
Right.
who he is.
Right.
And he starts more promotion, like you said, he invented
Well, he did that. He did that jump where he had the yellow and black
Yep.
outfit on, and they would go through like the flaming boards,
Right. Yeah.
drive through that. But then they had this one thing where Evel would go at one of his teammates, and it was called the Evel Knievel something Daredevils, motorcycle Daredevils
Yep.
or whatever. And so Evel would hit the throttle, go down, keep low, and the guy was supposed to jump up and the bike go under
Right.
him.
Yep.
And so that guy got hurt.
Yeah, it went horribly wrong.
And so they said, all right, Evel said, well, I'll do it.
Yep, I'll do it.
And he did it. Evel did
Went
not
horribly
jump.
wrong.
Evel did not. It clocked him, and he just spun around. That was his first major. But that was covered. So that was covered and that's what got him the next gig, which is where everybody pretty much
Vegas. Where do you go? If you want to do shit big, Vegas. But let's just not go to Vegas and do a jump. Let's go to Caesar's Palace and jump over the fountains, Dude, this is a mega jump.
But look at how he got it.
Right.
Nobody, they didn't want, they told him to fuck
no
off.
way. No way.
So what he did is, I forget what the name of the owner of the Caesar's Palace was, but what Evel would start doing is just calling him as different people.
Different people. Hey, who's this Aber Knievel guy? Hey, I heard there's going to be a motorcycle jump. Really looking forward to it. Isn't it something like Sneevel, Knievel? Different name every
Different
time.
names,
Yeah.
Or having paged or something.
Yes,
right.
right.
Yeah. So-and-so, you have a phone call. It's a so-and-so asking about Evel Knievel.
He did that all by himself, like all day long, just made all these phone calls. Yep.
Yeah, as different people
people.
to make this guy think that it was worthwhile. Dude, what the hell?
Incredible.
The instinct he had, this is beyond sales.
Right.
This is beyond marketing. This is beyond anything. This is a one-man, I don't know. I don't have a word for it. I literally don't have a word for it. That's why he's on the University of Badassery, because I don't have a word for what he did.
Yeah, he invented sponsorship and I'm pretty sure I think that's accurate. He invented sponsorship and marketing.
Yeah, I mean,
especially for like he did. That's
Yeah.
right. For sports world and such. Yes. Yep.
So that's how he got the gig, was calling the guy, disguising his voice and messing up the name, and
And the guy finally gave him the green light.
yeah.
And they built this massive contraption and ramp to ramp, conglomeration. And I forget how he practiced or where he practiced, but probably didn't practice long enough
No,
because that was his first big wreck,
that was the first big, yeah.
which also put him on the map.
Yeah, because if anybody who's grown up with this, and you can obviously see it online, but it's the wreck, it's the landing that is famous because it's in slow motion, and he's like a rag doll.
Yep.
But what's interesting is, you know who shot that? Linda Evans.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because he made a deal with John Derek
Yep.
to shoot it, and Linda Evans was his wife at the time. That dude was just he played Joshua in the 10 Commandments next to Charlton Heston.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you might know him later for his third wife, Bo Derek.
Right.
But Linda Evans was the Bo Derek of that time.
Yep.
What was the cowboy show she was on?
Not Bonanza,
It wasn't Bonanza.
Hold on. It was one of those. It was
Was it Big something or?
yeah, oh man,
I can't remember.
Nope.
You know what I almost said? I almost said, well, the squad will put it in the comments.
Yeah,
We're not
just put it in
live
the
streaming
comments.
today.
Yeah. Different.
But she took that, and the bike almost hit her.
Right.
But that's what
Great footage, man, because it was zoomed in and slow mo, and wow.
That when he hits on his back, and it's just like he was
Now,
almost,
isn't that the jump too, where he faked having a coma?
he faked having a coma.
Yeah. So, he got. So I think the biggest injury is broken pelvis, but there were several broken bones,
Right.
like a dozen.
Right.
But broken pelvis too.
Yeah.
The docs, I think, like 12 weeks you're in this body cast. I think he took it off in 4 to practice for another jump or some shit like that.
Golly, dude.
Yeah. But he faked having a coma once again, promotion,
Yeah.
Yeah. And dude, his name got freaking gigantic. And then several more successful jumps after that. Nothing that grandiose, but he was always looking for the next big grandiose thing too.
Yeah, one guy had mentioned that we don't even know that he would be as big as he was if he didn't crash.
Right.
If
Yep.
he didn't. If he didn't.
But his successful jump, like on Wide World of Sports, that was the most. It was the most popular episode of Wide World of Sports ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, he did a lot of jumps, like 70 something, I think, jumps over his entire career. And again, we're talking about this window of time is actually not very long. Like here's the other thing about him is that he, early on from the get-go, he was promoting something that he wouldn't get to for years, but he kept saying it from the outset because he saw in a Butte bar or something the picture of the Grand Canyon.
Yep.
And he said from early on, before Caesar's Palace,
Right.
I'm going to jump the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. Right. The Grand Canyon. Yeah.
So he would always say it in all the interviews and stuff. So everybody he was promoting it years before, not knowing how in the hell.
And you're talking like a decade before.
A decade before he actually did it. And
This is when he was only jumping like 2 cars.
yeah, he's saying he's going to jump the canyon.
Yeah.
With like a rocket bike.
Yeah. Right. Rocket bike. Mm-hmm.
And he would drive, at one point later, he would go around they'd like glued some wings on a bike and stuck some little canisters to make it look like that was what he was going to ride.
Yep. Yep. But another great quote. He sort of said that in that little clip, but people don't know victory or defeat because they've never risked anything.
Yeah, he never risked anything. Yeah, he's risked everything.
Mm-hmm. But so after that jump and another couple successful jumps.
Well, Caesar's Palace was like 1968.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're 3, I'm 2.
Yep.
So we didn't see that.
No, but we already knew the name.
We knew the name.
Yep. Already knew the name.
Yep.
And then this happened.
Yeah.
That was big.
Because, dude, because where did Eagle? I mean, who pays a guy millions of dollars to jump things? They don't.
Right.
You don't make millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, he draws a crowd and he gets a cut.
Yeah. Right.
But he's not, he's not making millions.
no.
But right there,
yeah.
that's where he made millions.
Yeah. When people, everybody, you can. In fact, I started to
I
see.
had one of those.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
Yeah. It was the most popular toy.
Yep.
But at first, they did a toy. They made a toy about Evel Knievel. Now, they weren't sure whether kids would especially boys, would mess with a doll like a girl would. Mm-hmm. They said, well, G.I. Joe, they they play with G.I. Joe. Yeah, but we're not sure that that's going to translate into a motorcycle because you can't do anything necessarily with the figure. I think Evel had said later, he goes, no, he goes, listen, it'll work. He goes, because boys play with G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe's a fag.
Jesus Christ.
That's what he said. Evel said that,
right.
Not us.
It wasn't us, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. Hurt any feelings there.
So Ideal Toys, who wasn't doing great at the time, came up with this, and I forget the technology, the name of it.
Right. Yeah, but it was something you had to wind up.
Yeah.
And, it had because there was a bunch of, remember, like STP cars came after that. They used the same technology.
Right.
STP, and you pulled the string, and the tire would really freaking whip around because it had this balanced, not gyroscope, but it would turn into
that's
gyroscope.
What it was.
Yeah, it would turn when the tires started turning, because they were weighted. It would create a gyroscope effect, and it would allow the car or motorcycle to stay balanced.
Right.
And so they had this thing, and I had one. I had one of these.
Yeah. Well, the STPs, remember, used to have the pull.
Right. Yep.
Thing.
Yep. This one here, you set the motorcycle with Evel on them into the contraption, and you wind him up. Hit a button and he takes off.
Right.
And you could send him over jumps, and even over jumps he'll crash. It'll stay upright.
Stay upright, right. And it'd land like into a wall or something, and that wheel would still be going.
Yeah.
It still had juice.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, once kids saw the early commercials of that thing jumping and then landing and flipping and still staying vertical, dude, it's sold, and he only got like 6 to 10% of,
and he became a multimillionaire.
Because they said like $100 million in sales in the freaking 70s.
Right. Yeah, they sold
that
out of those. I mean, it was like, holy shit, we didn't think big enough. We had nobody anticipated sales would be this big on this.
So they had to keep coming up with other toys. So they came up with different versions of it. They came up with his car. They came up with his boat. They came up with the Evel Knievel van. And they even did one for chicks called like Kelly or something. I forget what the name was. They tried to do one
Kelly
for girls.
Knievel?
No, it wasn't Kelly. But it didn't work. It flopped because girls weren't into that. But they tried to cash in on it.
Yep. Well, I mean, this is over. So between like jumping on a motorcycle and Ideal Toys, that was only like 7 years.
Oh yeah.
He became one of the most famous people on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
In 7 years.
In 7 years. Yeah.
He did that.
Yeah. With all that American stuff, and at the time wasn't even driving the Harley yet.
Right. Yeah. Not even not yet.
Harley did not want to do it because Harley at that time was very, very conservative, dude. They were into the motorcycle racing. Which he did for a while.
Yep.
He did do motorcycle racing for a while in California. But they wanted to only it was respectable. They didn't want their name attached to this reckless daredevil.
Yep.
But he eventually won him over.
Yep.
And so now because it didn't seem right to be jumping, with all this American regalia on.
Right, on a Honda.
On a Honda, yeah.
Yeah. And that's where, like, when he would finish a jump, he would thank his sponsors. I want to thank my sponsors. Right. He was the first one to do that. You see X Games and Supercross now, they all do that. NASCAR.
Right.
But he was the first one to say, yeah, it was a successful jump, but it wouldn't be without my sponsors. Thank you, Harley Davidson. And, he'd go down with Valvoline Oil, whoever, it was. But he had like a couple sponsors.
Yeah.
And he would thank them at the end of a jump.
Dude.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was just insane. There's so much to his life. And as Mac, you just noted, it was compacted within this short time frame. You want to talk about like an arc,
right?
Going up as high as you can, and then come literally like his jumps.
Yeah, right.
Coming back down. But yeah, I mean, he did a lot of key jumps over Pepsi trucks, over Greyhound buses.
Yep. And that was part of marketing too.
Yeah.
The Greyhound, the Pepsi, the whatever it was, the moving company trucks.
Yeah. One jump he did was like 50 cars, or like 50 cars. Well, he like stacked them.
Right, stacked
like on top of each other. But he cultivated great relationships then with all the people who were commentating for Wide World of Sports. Howard Cosell, Frank Gifford.
Yep.
Who was the guy who used to be quarterback of the Cowboys?
Roger Staubach?
Don Meredith.
Don Meredith.
Don Meredith.
Oh, yeah. Roger Staubach is 70s, maybe. Yeah.
So he would start.
Meredith was
He would start doing this. Again, he would promote everything in the future. What he was doing right now. So he was a huge forward thinker. But here's the other thing: is that to realize that the Caesar's Palace jump was 1968. By 1971, so he got started in 67.
Yep.
By 1971, he gets hit up by George Hamilton.
Oh, right. And he wasn't even, he wasn't peaking out in his career yet.
No.
Evil.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, George Hamilton.
George
So
Hamilton.
the Tan Man, you
Yeah.
guys know what he played a bunch of B-grade flicks,
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Dracula one. I can't remember.
Right.
He's very, very famous 70s actor, but you don't want to watch a George Hamilton movie. Nobody does.
No. No. So George Hamilton wanted to play him. Of course, there's a lot to that particular story. The screenwriter that he got, he told him, "I'm going to pay you so much money. You got to stay here at my house and do this." All the while, George Hamilton had a whole bunch of bikini-clad girls out there, and he told him, "When you get finished with this, you can go out there."
Right. Yep.
So George Hamilton puts out this movie. I forget what the movie was called, but it's all about Evel
The
Knievel.
life, yeah. Evel Knievel. Yep.
I saw that. I saw it as a kid.
Yeah, I did too.
Barely remember it, but I just remember him in the costume.
Do you know he went and sought Evil out? It was in a hotel room, in a bed with his cane and casts on and crap like that. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to do this movie.
Yeah.
You want to read the script?" You heard the story?
Yeah.
And Evil goes, "No, you read it to me."
read it to me.
And he goes, No, I'm feeling uncomfortable. He got a revolver.
You got a revolver.
And he says, "Read me that script." Well, no, wait. Chugged a bunch of whiskey, loaded the revolver, pointed at him, said, "Read me the script." George Hamilton said that was his best the performance of his lifetime. Reading Evel Knievel the script.
Dude, that's how outlaw Evel Knievel was,
Yeah.
man.
He was
He puts a
gangster.
gun to one of the Hollywood's most popular
Big-
actors, a sex symbol of
Yep.
the time,
Yep.
and puts a gun to him and says, "Read me the script." Oh my gosh, man.
Yep.
Yeah, the anecdotes are there's too much. You can't. There's no way we could talk about all the stuff that he he did, man.
He he started rubbing people the wrong way too with the biker image thing. He hated the biker image.
Yeah, he did. He did not
And he
like that.
talked trash against the Hells Angels.
He did, and they got into a fight.
Yeah. It was right after a jump. They were all
After
there.
a jump, yeah.
There was a jump, a crash, and then a big brawl. They were like, "We're not helping Evil up. We're going to beat him up and beat up all his people and his
Yeah,
staff."
and they went at it, man.
Well, the Hells Angels got their ass kicked
Yeah,
too.
they did.
They were like,
they
"No,
did.
we're not having this."
And they come back later in the story because they provided security.
Yeah, security at a big event.
Big event. But what had happened was, I forget what Evil did, but he said something about them because what had recently happened was they were at that California Speedway with the big Rolling Stones show, where when they were playing "Sympathy for the Devil," that an angel had stabbed somebody, and it's in the movie. Where
Yep.
you see the guy
Oh,
get
yeah.
stabbed. So there was a lot of bad press going on about Hell's Angels, and Evil did not want to get lumped in
Right.
with them, so he couldn't stand him. Again, dude, this is how independent this guy was. He was. You couldn't put him in. He did not want to be put in any category. He was his own category. You could say Muhammad Ali and Walt and Joe Frazier and George Foreman. They're all boxing greats.
Yep.
This actor and this actor and this actor. This football player and this football player and this football player.
This Daredevil and wait,
Nobody.
that's it.
He was Evel Knievel. He was his own category. His concept of branding was, it's beyond anything I've ever seen.
But once again, it's got to go. I got to level up. Got to level up. What's
Yeah.
the next thing I do?
Yeah.
So he goes back to thinking Grand Canyon,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he goes to talk to some Indian chiefs.
He talked to the governor or something, but they told him there's no way.
But he talks to some Indian chiefs too, like on a cliff. There's a great picture of him.
Oh, yeah,
He's
yeah.
on a cliff of the Grand Canyon with all his stuff on.
Right.
Promo pic with these two Indian chiefs. And they're like, "Bro, you crazy.
You can't. You can't do
White
this.
man, you crazy."
Yeah, so they wouldn't let him.
And they wouldn't let him do it.
They would not let him jump the Grand Canyon, so he bought a canyon.
Yep. Snake River.
brought the Snake River Canyon, little section of the Snake River Canyon, where he would eventually do his biggest jump of all. Now there are several jumps. I mean, he'd crash on some. He'd get these injuries. He had over 50 broken.
I don't know. It's all over the map. You read different books and stuff. Multiples and dozens of broken bones over the years. Yeah.
He would carry around. He had a velvet-lined briefcase with metal parts and screws and things in it, like 35 of them. So in case he got injured, and whatever hospital, whatever town or country he was in, he said these are the things you need.
Right. Yep.
Because he knew he was going to break his pelvis again, his hip again, his ribs again. How many times did he break his freaking ribs?
No, it's incredible. Yep. Yeah, his X-rays are like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
You look into pictures of his X-rays. I swear, it's like they put this dude together with spare parts.
Well, let's park on this for just a second because for the average person, you get injured doing something that you've never done before, and it may just discourage you from doing that thing.
100%.
He knew, as he said in that clip a little while ago, you got to be man enough to deal with the consequences of doing something like this. And he said, I was man enough, and yes, he was. So how do you've done some pretty insane stuff. You've had to get your mind ready to do some very dangerous things. Is there any part of you that can relate to what his process or what his way of thinking had to have been in order to deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I got hurt right on, in my special ops career. Instantly. I mean, almost immediately I got hurt and hospitalized.
Right.
And it was a bad injury. I was a toad jumper, my second jump out of the airplane, pulled me all the way across the fryer drop zone, pulled my bicep into my forearm, dislocated my shoulder, broken ribs, concussion, and hospitalized me for a couple months. But the process wasn't over yet, man.
Right.
I had to finish jump school because I wanted to be special forces.
Right.
And then you get hurt doing something else. It's like, well, I need to get well because I want to do this thing also.
Yes.
I have to go to the next step. What is the next step in the process? So I wanted to keep leveling up. So yeah, I could definitely relate, especially, later on he does something that I could relate to as well.
So he's not planning on getting injured, but it's just such a factor he has to keep.
Yep. It's probable.
Yeah.
That if you live a dangerous lifestyle, you're going to get hurt. It is probable. It's not possible. It is probable.
Right. I can't think of another human being or another example of someone going as balls out, bold to go that high as he did. Mm-hmm. Because he knew that the path was cluttered with potential injury, risk, failure, and the like of it. But he wanted to go absolutely as high as he possibly could. Mm-hmm. So was it the jumping? Or was it, because when you really go over his story, he's not like a motorcycle guy.
No. It was more like the thrill of victory.
It's a thrill of victory.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I think that was just his vehicle.
Yeah, it could have been anything.
Yeah, it could have been go fast on a boat or go the deepest underwater. Right. He was going to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just fame. It wasn't just to be known per se.
No.
It was
he had to.
Yes. You know what I mean?
He was driven.
Yeah.
To be great at these things that nobody else can do.
And he kept saying that in every interview. He would say, that's what I do is not that. What I do, that guy did this, but I do this. Mm-hmm. And so when he said, because the most common question he got was, do you have a death wish?
Yeah, right.
And he'd say, I have a death wish to die 103 with a naked woman next to me. It's my death wish. You're absolutely right. I have a death wish. So he knew he had an answer for everything, but it was, like you said, the motorcycle jumping was a vehicle, but even fame was a vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He liked the taste of it.
These were all vehicles to get the sum total of what a life. Now, if you're going to go that crazy, I mean, you can't ask a dude to go that crazy insane to make all of that money and all of that fame and have him not buy 15 yachts and womanize and Maseratis and Ferraris and Porsches and crazy stuff and constantly gamble on the golf course with everybody. I bet you $1,000.
Yeah,
I
right.
bet you $1,000.
And dressing more elaborate than
Liberace.
Yeah.
He loved Liberace, dude.
Yeah.
He was hugely inspired by Liberace.
Yep.
In fact, without him seeing Liberace, he wouldn't have done what he would have done.
Oh, right.
With what he did. That's why he had the capes and the cane and all this, because he was imitating. If you don't know who Liberace is, YouTube. But you can't. I mean, to be that crazy, to go. I'm using crazy in a flattering way, but to be that insane, to go to that heights. You're gonna get all the other. He's gonna live life to the fullest. He's gonna do all this crazy stuff and womanize and do all these things because you can't live like a monk.
No.
And be Evel Knievel.
No, he had to do everything with the same intensity.
Right.
So, the stunts with the intensity and party and spend money with the same intensity. Yeah. It was all like a competition. Remember I've said that. I want to be better than anybody at anything.
Right. Right.
I think to myself, part of my attitude is I could beat anybody at anything. Is it true? No, it's not true. But that's part of my attitude. Yeah. I could kick anybody's ass at anything. I don't care what it is. But that's definitely his attitude.
Definitely.
I could spend more. I could jump further. I could talk more trash. I could inspire. I could earn. All that stuff. I could draw a crowd better than anybody.
Dude.
All of it.
Yeah, I think of a bigger rock star.
No.
Nobody.
No.
You can't name anybody. We'll give you a few seconds.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. You can't come up with anybody. There's nobody bigger. And again, you might be thinking, well, then why have I never heard of him? Because you live under a rock. That's why you've never heard of him.
Right.
You know what I mein?
Because you're poisoned by the interwebs.
Yeah, you're poisoned by the interweb. You know who Billy? What's her name? English? Eilish? I don't even know. See, I don't even know who that is.
No, I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So it's a pop singer. But but for Evel,
I'd be ashamed of myself if I knew that.
There you go. So here again is an icon. Here's again is even to us, even though we didn't know anything half of what we've been talking about so far when we were kids.
Right.
He was still superhero status. Why did we think he was a superhero?
Well, he was doing something that nobody else was doing.
Right.
His presentation to the camera was it was not only patriotic, but it was inspirational. Because we heard him talk there. That's how he would talk to a crowd.
I wonder if
that's off the cuff.
I wonder if was inspired wrestling.
Could be
Stuff, commentary.
Yeah.
Because Vince McMahon was a part of one of his initial, I think, the canyon jump.
Yep.
Vince
McMahon
Jr.
Yeah. The other thing was it was the outfit.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. It's like Kiss,
Right.
They wouldn't have been as big if they just came out and sang songs.
Yeah. Jeans and a T-shirt, looking like Metallica.
Yeah. Yay, I want to rock and roll and party all night long. No.
Yeah,
But it was all of that. He was the total package.
Yeah.
And he was also, for us young kids, he was total man. Like I said, he wasn't a daredevil. He was a superhero.
Yeah, he was a superhero.
He wore a cape, man, and he flew.
Yeah, he flew in the sky, man. He flew in the sky.
And then when he went, when I started seeing him, it was on Harley Davidson too.
Right.
So these bikes they're heavy, man.
Very
People
heavy.
jump today. They jump way more extreme.
Right.
Like but these bikes are ounces.
Right.
And they have so much horsepower and torque.
Right.
And they're designed to jump. He was riding a bike that was not designed to jump and making his own modifications on these things.
Yeah.
He broke one of them in half doing a jump.
Yes. Yes. When he landed, he broke it in half.
We got to get to that, but we got to talk this guy real quick too.
Which one?
Snake.
Snake.
We talked about it.
The Snake Canyon.
Yep. Yeah. So Snake Canyon was, because he couldn't do Grand Canyon, so he went Snake River.
Snake
Canyon.
River Canyon, yeah.
Yep, and he built this elaborate contraption. You know, it was a rocket launch pad, and he had designed this basically a rocket ship that was steam powered.
Right. Yeah, steam powered.
Steam powered.
Yeah.
You know what the funny thing is about that? I think they did 3 rehearsal runs with unmanned.
Right.
The first one they invited press to, and they purposely botched it.
Right.
They purposely botched it to enhance the presence of.
Will this work? Will he
Right.
die? Will
Yes.
this,
Yeah. So they purposely botched that one, but none of the rehearsals went well.
No.
It was all the same malfunction, and it was the malfunction that he ultimately had too.
Right.
And a lot of people started questioning whether or not he was a phony.
Yeah, that was the first time you begin to see people wondering if all of this was, I'd say fake, but that it wasn't what it was. It was perceived to be, and the whole Snake River issue, because he had the guy working with, because they were going to shut it down. No. It was going to be on closed circuit.
Yep.
ABC was going to do it on closed circuit TV, and so no other network would have access to it until some guy from CBS, a producer, overheard a conversation, and he realized that you could go to the other side and cover it as a news event. And so the governor of what was that? Idaho?
Oh yeah, Idaho, Oregon. I think that was right on the board.
Yeah. So he was going to get reelected or something, and so he was going to give like all of these allowances to news networks to do stuff, and so he allowed them to do it, and so CBS found out about it, and they secured their spot across to be able to film this thing. Well, it's supposed to be closed circuit, and so they're waiting for, they're going to get ticket receipts for people going to see these in theater, to see the Snake River Jump in theaters, and CBS is going to be parked over there. It ended up into this big old deal. It went to court, and the guy who he got to go to court and actually represent him was the same guy who I think put together like the Woodstock and the California, there's a California Jam. He went in there, he got it done. He got CBS kicked out so that they could protect this process of trying to put together this event, which was a complete,
Yep.
it was a colossal mess.
It was a goat rope, bro.
Dude, they wanted like tens of thousands of people out there, and like getting all this done while trying to have a working rocket ship, and Evel just kept rushing it. I forget what the guy's name. Who's the guy's name who was doing the rocket? But anyway, these guys are working.
He was a rocket scientist.
He definitely was a rocket scientist. But they're working, 24/7, and they did get a bunch of people out there, but it was the wrong.
Yeah, it was a big mess and conglomeration of idiocy and debauchery and sex and partying and rape and drugs.
Everything that they worried about at Woodstock happened at Evel's.
Yeah, it all happened there. Yeah, they were turning the freaking porta-johns over, lighting them on fire. They ran out of beer, and they like robbed a beer truck.
They robbed all the food trucks, and they were doing it out, and it was pitch black.
Right. Ugh.
Yeah, so when they approached, they were going to go into what they called the compound, the fenced area where all the ABC News trucks were, and obviously where the ramp was. And so that one guy, his bodyguard's got to go down there with all he's got is a revolver. Yep. And it was like the zombies were at the fence.
Yeah.
And if somehow, some way, he turned them away. But they realized, well, what are we going to do for security? So they called the sheriff. Sheriff's like, we're not providing security. Hell no. We got to watch the town.
Right.
We're not getting involved in all that mess. And so they had been, like Max said, they were riding the night before. So what are they going to do? And they go to the Hells Angels.
Yep. They had to go back there. Excuse me, motorcycle guys dressed in black. We know we talk shit about you, but can you pull security for us? We will pay you.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, beer and money and food.
And food.
Yeah, their first, the day they got there, they said they were hungry. So the guy goes, well, make them breakfast. And the guy in the food trucks are like, well, we're not, make them breakfast.
Yeah.
So they fed all of them. But they stayed to the very end. the Hells Angels did, and actually the security worked.
Yep.
It worked.
Yeah, because the biggest thing is they were afraid that people were going to fall off the cliff. It's like, dude, please don't let all these, because how do you stop a mass of people who are poorly behaved from rushing to see if when that ship went down?
Right.
They're all going to rush it. That they're all going to rush it, and the person up in front, nobody's going to slow down somebody 10 rows back from pushing into you.
Right.
So yeah, it was going to be a big freaking mess. So yeah, they did well.
Let me take a note here. We're all doing this live, so we're talking to because we got camera people here as well. Do you guys need these mics at all? Or are you good? And these things. 'Cause I know that they've been on, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so you need to turn them off, or
No, he wants them on.
oh, okay.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, they did not want the which became an issue when the way the jump actually turned out, because people would have wanted to go there, man. But you know what? It hit me, dude. Is I remember watching it, and I don't remember it being in '74. For some reason, I kept thinking it was the Snake River Canyon jump was like, I don't know, 76 or 77.
Yeah, closer to like Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
That's about right. Yeah, I was 9.
Yeah.
Yep. But I remember watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was amazing, man. I mean,
Yeah, it was still cool, even though it was a disappointment.
Yeah.
Because it was a malfunction. Well, see, the thing is, in the rocket ship, it's pointing straight up or at a slight angle. And he's got his hand basically preventing, so he's pulling a lever which prevents a parachute, which means if he loses consciousness, he lets go with his handle and it deploys the parachute. He fully expected to lose consciousness, but not until he hits a certain G, which is he's going to be safe to get over the canyon. Well, when you watch the clip of that, as soon as it takes off, you could see the parachute coming out. So it was to me, it looked like a malfunction, but that's when there was a bunch of speculation on whether or not he was a phony and this was all publicity stunt and, it was all canned event and, just to make more money and not get hurt.
It took off.
Yep.
And I thought for sure it was
by design.
I thought it was going to do it. I literally thought
it wanted to, even with the parachute.
Because I thought that was part of it. I didn't think the parachute was a problem.
Yep.
I didn't. What do I know? What do I know, right? Yeah. But yeah, and then all of a sudden he's static in midair.
Yep.
Going straight down.
Straight down into that canyon. It's a long way down into that
canyon.
Into
the canyon. So that was why they wanted security, because
it was going to rush the side of that canyon. It's a cliff.
It's a cliff, like a major canyon cliff. They would have been falling to their deaths.
Yep.
So we're like, is Evel alive or dead? And eventually we see that he appears. There's a backstory though, because there was a boat down there that went out to him, and then 2 guys got down there, got him situated. They didn't have enough people to get on the helicopter to get out, so the helicopter pilot, so the one guy said, "I'll stay behind." So he stays behind. The helicopter pilot says, "I'm going to come back and get you." He says, "No problem." So the helicopter pilot goes and forgets all about him.
Oh, really?
He's stuck down there at the bottom of the canyon overnight, but while he's down there trying to like make a life overnight, he runs into these dudes partying down there. So he hangs out with them.
Huh.
And eventually, then the next day climbs up the canyon and gets out. And everybody's gone. He goes up, and it's just a ghost town. He gets up, and where's all the people? Then there's one guy going, who's walking by the news trucks. All of a sudden, sees him. They didn't know where he was. Comes out from over the cliff,
canyon.
Canyon cliff. All of a sudden, this guy's like, "What in the hell?
Where you been, Jim Bob? Where the hell you been, bro?"
So yeah, that was a crazy thing. But we thought at that point it was like, and Evel had done this before. It's all over.
Yep.
I'm not going to jump again.
Yeah, but then this happened.
Yeah, he goes to England, man.
Yep.
Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, and nobody heard. I mean, people heard of him. He was famous there, but he wasn't as here. In the States, if there was going to be an act, he was going to fill.
Right.
He was going to fill seats.
Right.
But over there, he wasn't filling seats. He's like, damn, man. So went out in the freaking road again and started promoting.
Yeah. I
mean, on foot.
On
and
foot.
talking to people.
Yeah. The reason why he went to England was because the press was so bad on him in the States. So he couldn't, nobody wanted to see an Evel Knievel thing after the Grand Canyon, after the Snake River Canyon. So his idea was, which you have said several times, what's next? What's he going to do? How's he going to level up? What's he going to do? Well, he's got to go somewhere where they don't know him and kind of start from scratch. And so he goes to do the jump in Wembley. And like he said, they don't really know him very well.
Yep.
So he got hooked up with with princes and whatever. He just starts raising hell. And
Yep.
he wanted to get up with all the English chicks, and he even bought a car while he was there. Had a guy, because somebody told him, hey, Prince whatever so-and-so has this badass, what was it called? A Sturts? Forget what kind of, some kind of super expensive sport. Oh, or was it a Lamborghini? It was a Lamborghini. It was a Lamborghini.
All right.
And so they said, well, how much is it? Like, $127,000. And Evel says, go buy one.
Yeah. Right now,
he's laid up in the hospital. Go buy one. Literally goes to buy one. The English guy brings it back. Evel says, we're going to take her for a ride. He goes, you can't take her for a ride. You're injured. And they go down, and he says, no, I'm going to ride in the passenger seat. So he gets to ride in the passenger seat. So the guy starts driving through England, and he's not going fast enough. So Evel's like, go faster, go faster. The guy won't. I can't go faster. So Evel
Gonna break the law, bro.
Somehow takes his broken leg and puts it over and hits the gas, and they're flying through London. I know we kind of jumped there because he goes to Wembley, and the crash was not. I mean, the jump was not.
Wasn't successful, man. So big bad crash on that one. And the cool thing, he was really busted up, a lot of broken bones, and he tells his guys, "Get me to my feet."
Yeah.
And he walks up on the ramp to make a speech.
Yeah.
And that was his, "I will never jump. You have witnessed the last jump of Evel Knievel speech. I will never jump again."
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was pretty short-lived, because as soon as he got back to the States, he made a press conference announcement. He goes, "Hey, I was hurt. That was the pain talking.
Right.
Besides, that was 13 buses. 13 is a bad number. So for my next jump, I'm going to jump 14 buses." So freaking cool, man.
Yeah, what it realized is like each the buses there were like a foot and a half wider.
Yep.
So it added another bus by the time it was all done.
Bus and a half.
Yeah. But
then he goes in 75. That was the King's Island jump.
Oh yeah, that's
14
right.
buses.
Yeah.
And he freaking nailed it.
He nailed that one.
He nailed it. Now he came in. I remember watching the footage. Big high jump, lands perfectly, but real way back on the back tire.
Right.
So he was front end high, and the front end comes down smash. But it's like, oh, thank Christ, man, he made it. Drives back up on the ramp, and that's the crash that he broke his motorcycle in half.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he's making an announcement. He goes, "This is my last jump." Yeah, right there. But what a way to go, as far. I mean, he jumped after that, but nothing.
No, it's nothing major. And by then he was including Robbie and Kelly, his sons, who would do wheelies and stuff with him beforehand. And you've seen those pictures of Robbie when he was young. He had the kind of the Evel Knievel outfit himself, and so Robbie was starting to grow, himself, and so there started this transition, but Evel had still, he still had some capital in the bank as far as his brand goes. So he would start to do some hosting, some stuff.
Plus, they were still selling the toys.
Yeah, they were still selling the toys
at that time.
At that time, yeah. It actually lasted quite a while. He sold toys. I forget what the year. I think it might have into the 80s. But yeah, he was still making bank. But that eventually.
Woo! That went south quick, bro.
That did. Yeah, all of a sudden
talk about from zero to hero and hero to zero.
Oh, you know what did it? It was
like you said, that arc.
Yeah, he was in a bookstore. I forget where he was, it was a hotel or something, a bookstore, and he was in there and he was asking the person, what do you got new for me to read that I'll enjoy? We don't have anything new here that you'll enjoy. But she says, but I've got something new here that you won't enjoy.
Yeah.
And it was a book written by a guy who flew with him,
his publicist,
during the promotion of the Snake River Canyon event, where they're going to city to city to city to city. And so he had told Evel he was going to write a book, and he was like, he'd be recording things and whatever. Well, he finally got around to, he waited years to finally write this book, and he did. But I think it was like Shelley Saltman, or something like that. But he just totally drops Evel Knievel in the grease. He tells all the bad stuff. And Evel read it and highlighted it,
circled it, wrong, liar. Right, yeah, I was right, taking notes, liar.
Yeah.
This is wrong. I didn't do this.
And he was pissed.
Yeah, man.
I mean, pissed.
It's all red, bad.
So what did he do?
Yeah, he went and sought this Shelley guy. Oh, Shelley, I hope we're saying that. I hope it's the right name. Sought him out.
Yeah.
And this guy, the publicist, sees him coming and thinks, oh, I'm going to get a big embrace.
Right, big embrace.
So, Evel, how you doing? Nope. Embrace with a baseball bat, broke his arms.
Yep. One of Evel's bodyguards grabbed him, and Evel just beat the crap out of him with a metal baseball bat. And it was on a Hollywood lot in front of everybody. So everybody saw it, and so he was arrested and eventually was convicted. Even though he had an incredible defense, because he made his defense via public relations.
Yep.
So he kept telling the story about how this guy had talked bad about his mother and had said this about him and all this about him, and how this guy deserved it. And when they started to read newspaper articles covering the trial, you could start to see the net effect as people were kind of supporting Evel. But he was eventually convicted, got like 6 months in jail, but it's that
work release,
dude.
Yeah, so he was only in jail
to sleep,
and they let him out there today. He rent limos,
yeah.
And the other work release, the other work release, he would get them limos too.
You can get them limos too.
The other work release. So he really stuck it in the freaking note in the eyeball of the judge.
Oh yeah.
The judge finally said, "Nah, you're in jail."
Finally shut him down. Yeah, because what he would do is he'd get picked up by a limo in the morning, and he would get all dressed up. He would get decked to the nines, and his office for the day was a bar, like country club kind of bar, and he would just play golf, raise hell, talk to people, get drunk off his ass. But he was so popular in the jail that the jail was on top of that building, the Justice Building, whatever, down in L.A. that was famous from Dragnet.
Yep.
Remember?
Yeah.
So he was like in the upper floors, but they would. He made friends with all the prisoners, and they would sit around and just hold court, man. He would just tell stories. They thought he was the most. There was one guy who got out and like has an amazing career, and he says, "I credit my change of life to my time with Evel Knievel," because Evel would go in and do all that Clement Stone insurance motivational stuff when he was in there, and he totally told him how to like build a life and all this. So Evel Knievel is like Jesus, discipling a bunch of convicts.
Incredible, man.
And they loved it.
Yeah, but those on the outside didn't dig it too much, bro. So that's when Ideal pulled the plug.
Yeah.
All the sponsorships, it was like all at once. Boom.
Yeah.
Now you have it. Now you don't.
Right. But
then it went away.
It went away because he's not a role model for kids. I mean, he would talk the great game.
Yep.
There's a part of him that was that. There's a part of him that he did love his. Whatever you want to call it. He kept her around. He did take care of them. So in his, distorted reality, he was being a quote unquote good husband or a provider, whatever have you. But everything just went south really, really quick. She eventually left him. His injuries and things, he eventually succumbed to a lot of those things health-wise. But he got remarried again like in 97 to a young, like 30-year-old golf.
Because that's what he was doing. That was like his pastime was golf.
Yeah, so they got married, of course, eventually divorced. But she came back and took care of him. But that's when he started to do because now we're in the 90s, so it's the era of where are they now?
Right.
Kind of documentaries. So they start interviewing him. So there's a crap ton of interviews of him where you can kind of get more of his story. What's weird, dude, is that when you do listen to him talk, it's hard to mesh it with the party and
with the dark side of
the
things.
Dark side.
Right. Yep. And I don't want to. I think a lot of us don't want. We it's like we're in denial.
Yeah,
with that stuff.
I'm totally in denial.
Yeah, completely. I mean, even when he broke dude's arms, he completely owned that in court.
Yeah, he did.
He's like, I did it, and I will do it again.
Exactly.
He said he's lucky I didn't kill him.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he was like, nope, I was right. The decision I made was spot on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
He would have done it again. He would have done it again.
I did it, and I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Dude, he would chew ass. When he would chew the press's ass.
Oh.
But a lot of that was because of the pain, the drug, his toxic cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he started losing his marbles in front of the press and the media.
Yeah. Wild Turkey was his drink of choice.
Who knows what the pain meds were, but he was popping that shit hard, bro.
Yeah. He had tremendous access to whatever it is he wanted. He was, again, not just a brilliant showman, as we've been saying, a brilliant marketer, brilliant. Again, I still, even though we've talked about this in detail, I'm still struggling, Mac, to find words to describe the kind of person this is because there's so many dynamics at play. It was excellence on every level.
Yep.
I don't know where the energy came from. I don't know. Because he could be going through the massive physical suffering, yet at the same time, from a hospital bed, still be driven to hit on the nurses and contact the prince over here, manipulate ABC, and
plan his next big jump
and plan
all
his
the same
next big
time.
jump all at the same time. So if that's not badassery, dude, I honestly don't know
It is.
what it is.
And then he died of like lung cancer or something, right? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It wasn't, you would think that it would be kidney failure or I don't know.
His ribs just fell out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, his body just all of a sudden just fell apart into several pieces in a big freaking mess of goo.
Yeah.
But damn, bro. Yeah, I'm glad we did this one on Evel.
Just thinking of another story here, just as a I'm gonna say final anecdote. That's like Max saying one more cast.
Yep, one more cast.
Is when he had this one boat that he bought. Well, didn't actually buy it. We didn't know he didn't buy it. He leased it. But he told everybody that he bought it. And this one chick who was in the Art Institute, Fort Lauderdale, for interior design in school, she shows up at one of these ultra parties where it's packed. She's way in the back, and so the bartender gets her to stand up on the bar so that she can see, and so Knievel sees her. So he takes a liking to her. He sends his guy over there. Evel wants to meet you. Long story short, Evel wants you to come with him. She agrees to go, even though she has a major exam the next morning, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So she goes with him, and then he takes her to the boat, and he asks her what she does. She goes, well, she lies and says, I'm an interior designer. And he's like, okay, I want you to redesign this whole yacht. I want a bed bigger than so-and-so's bed, and I want this, and I want stained glass of me jumping on all this stuff. Yeah. I mean, renovated the entire thing. Years later, she's coming back to finish something out on it. They put a helicopter pad on it.
Right, yeah.
She comes back, and the lease guy said, no, the boat's mine. This is not Evel's boat. She's like, it's not? He's like, yeah. What are you doing here? She goes, I'm an interior designer. I'm here to finish out the thing. He goes, no, you're my interior designer now. You're going to put it back exactly the way it was. And she did.
Oh, damn.
They came in and completely gutted everything she'd done over years and restored it back to its original condition.
Wow.
There's 100 stories like that
Yep.
in his life. 100 stories like that. But, dude, that was very gratifying.
Yep. Damn. Yeah. Brought back memories, man. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So as kids, for those of you out there who are more like Mac and I's age, and you grew up in this, you remember You remember the toy. You remember the jumps. You remember what a hero he was. And he did. He is a fixture of the 1970s. You know, just right along there with disco and everything else that happened in
All of it.
the 1970s.
Yep.
And we'll talk more about other very, very cool people. But man, I dug this. This is
It was
very,
fun.
very cool, man.
Yeah, this is good. I dig it.
So 5 months. What's our next spot?
Yeah, right. Yeah, next one.
Now I think we need to. It's difficult, as I said at the outset, because we have other things we're doing now. But I think I like us, even though we talk as much as we do every week. This is so different.
Right. Yep.
It's so enjoyable. And like I said, that's why we're not doing the interview thing, because we just figure, well, people just want to hear us talk about, whatever.
Yeah.
So
I like this format.
Dude, I really do myself.
Yep. You just give me the next project, or I'm going to give you the next. Oh, yeah. Because the like this one, I thought nobody's gonna. No. When you brought this one up, I was like, holy crap!
Nobody's gonna see.
This is not predictable.
We're not going to do another expedition.
Right? Yeah, we're not going to do another explore.
We're going to do Evel Knievel.
Yep.
So it's very, very metal. Well, listen, Max had a pretty long day today. We've been shooting the vlog all day, which you'll see the vlog after this podcast. We won't tell you about what happened there, so you have to wait on that. But a good time as always. I want to encourage everybody to join us in the Keep the Blaze Alive coaching squad. Patreon.com/coaching squad. There are 3 levels that you can be in: Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 1. Tier 1 is the highest level. But we do a weekly live stream every Thursday night. Mac and myself, and everybody's just asking questions. We take your questions live. We also do 2 times a month for our Tier 1 members. We do a 2-hour Zoom call where we talk face-to-face. We also do 2 business Zoom calls where we talk face-to-face. But then we have the most incredible thing, which is the Facebook community. This thing which was not a part of the original squad, we set it out, but has become the mainstay. And there's so many people that are in the squad that still aren't on it, because I don't know why.
Right.
But it is filled with badasses.
Yep.
And dude, I couldn't describe all.
Lots of quality shares and how-tos and
oh my God,
lots.
Yeah, projects, art, family time,
workouts,
people on expeditions, everybody from all aspects of life.
Not the typical shit you see on Facebook.
No, not the typical shit. There's a lot of people who just got their Facebook account back just so that they could be in the squad. So there's that, and plus there are just dozens and dozens of how-to videos that are not available on YouTube or anything else. And we've got more things we're planning. More things we're planning for both the squad, the vlog, and other things else. So lots of good stuff to come if we can, find the time, Mac.
Working it.
The time. All right. Well, that's it. Anything else?
Negatron.
Well, this has been the University of Badassery podcast with CJ and Heavy Metal McNamara Pat Mac. We are out. Remember, whatever you do,
don't suck.
metal up.